the strongest impacts caused by the African internal borders within all 55 countries. These borders were created by the far visitors came from far away. Many Africans have never reached or shall never reach in their lifestyle. But these borders were left behind by those people mentioned above and went back at theirs, but these borders were remained by the serious African colonialists. Therefore, African countries got independence or started to get independence before 1960s. But the independences that were received were of nothing to the majorities in Africa. But these celebrated African independences were for some and are still for some, enjoying their benefits. But the African majorities, they are suffering silently here and there, hither and yon, throughout this African continent, for no good reasons. Here, women are being raped, girls are being arrested and raped hither and yon. We are made house girls. And are being employed and taken as slaves, are working donkey worker. But in the end, no payment, are just pregnanted everywhere. They do take unexpected pregnancies without any single solution. Therefore, these borders and their master controllers are the root causes of all of these problems among my fellow Africans. Men do lose their wives because of these civil wars. The civil wars from village to village throughout the country, from country to country throughout all 55 African countries, women and girls are being raped and killed, dropped in graves hither and yon. Are being thrown there in the den for lions and crocodiles and plus to the dangerous animals and the deep gorges and canyons within all these African countries. Some are burnt here and yon because are being taken in safe buildings and slaughtered there, and disappear for good and for all completely from their society, country, member families. But God knows much. Therefore, many and their younger boys, sons and daughters in general, are also being taken at wars of diversities, maybe civil wars or panic wars, here and yon, to fight for those African colonialists to defend their borders, where they cultivate and yield whatever the resources they need and needable at all the international markets. Therefore, these borders, since were created in 1884, Africans never rested in days and nights in all centuries. Even during the periods of African independences, after long periods of sufferings of war of liberation in Africa, citizens have remained unstable and steady. Therefore, they are ever lacking peace, but always in pieces, and on constant running in thick forests and bushes and being engulfed there by dangerous animals of all kinds, escaping the killers. So, these colonial inter-African borders supervised by these African leaders have caused serious impacts and consequences upon my fellow Africans. I, the RWANDA president, RWANDA founder, RWANDA legal representative in internal affairs and external affairs, the RWANDA general ring leader, charismatic leader, being charismatic is one among of my quality. They hinge to like me and making me their chongos. Here I mean the ring leader of the Rwanda Revolutionary United Democratic Advancers for 200 good many causes on Rwanda and 2,000 good many causes on Africa and 20,000 good many causes on the whole entire world. To stop, or in order stopping this business of violating human African rights intentionally by these African dictators due to their roadblocks, so-called territorial borders. These African dictators are always importing massive military weapons to finish up these poor Africans, men and women and their children. Addition to that, are exporting massive deadly African minerals to be manufactured into the massive deadly weapons to return and finish up the remaining African survivors of the recent wars. Here I mean civil wars, panic wars and genocides. For no good reasons. Therefore, impacts and consequences are very many. These borders, so-called territorial borders in Africa, are causing low levels of education upon Africans. That is why we have maximum and constant insecurity basing in brains due to low levels of education, poverty in brains and in their pockets. Moreover, Africa is the source of all kinds of resources being given by God Himself to all people, for all, but here by the few, not by all. Low and poor investments and savings in Africa is the order of the day. Because of these constant and persisting African colonial borders internally, aiming at finishing up all my fellow Africans, high African consumable GDP and borrowed international debts. Why? Because Africans do not have time to concentrate and work accumulatively, aiming at making and producing high primary production, high and constant secondary production, and saving enough time for high and maximum constant tertiary production increment in general. In failure to reach at this milestone, all Africans have remained behind like the courts. All of these are due to these long-lasting African dictators and their territorial borders, preventing Africans to go elsewhere and concentrate having peace, but never in pieces. Low African main population because of constant wars in Africa. We have the problem here. Men are claiming to be genocided, and women are also claiming to have no husbands. And moreover, they need to be married. That's why I stood up to get husbands for all African women and girls, and must be given husbands on government accountability. Billions and millions of Africans have been genocided by these internal African borders and their masters. All African prisoners and prisonies, organizations and reorganizations, ever and ever in all 24/7 also have finished up my fellow Africans. When they escape, they start the revolution or liberative wars to liberate themselves and to liberate others. Also, these prisoners are contributing much to cause civil wars and panic wars and maintain these internal borders to exist because they don't have good plans upon them. So because of all of these African prisoners and prisoners are organized and reorganized to imprison fellow Africans for no good reasons, are also factors do make these African colonial borders to exist permanently there. But we are coming with the loaders to demolish these colonial internal African borders. Divisionism and the divisionists among African rulers, so-called African dictators, constantly are the root causes of the existence or of the existing of these African territorial borders. Hence, the strongest impacts and consequences. African divide and rule colonialists, they do support. Here I mean these African dictators, the new colonialists we have here in Africa, have engulfed all our Africans to become their natural resources, to make them slaves of all seasons. Also, this one has contributed a lot to the permanent and existing of these African colonial borders. So we want to remove them by all means, without any hesitation. Existence of long life African rulers and dictators, these have permanently enabled these African territorial colonial borders to persist and exist in continuity. So we want to remove them by all means. Just to mention but a few, because the list of root causes and the root causes of the above are many, and are African internal colonial borders, among others, by the African long life lasting rulers and dictators, plus their dictatorship. The mentioned above factors have prevented factories, farms and plants and industries to exist into Africans to replace these African colonial territorial borders. We want to replace these borders with new modernities. Universities must be set there, high institutions, secondary schools, primary schools and plus. The modern markets and modern high buildings. The international security institution is gonna be set there. The new modern industries manufacturing commodities rather than manufacturing injustices gonna be set there to replace these internal African borders. Railway lines and stations must be set. This is the RWANDA agenda in the main and in the major ones. The modern hotels for the tourists of near and far away gonna be set there. Communication institutions, industries, is the transportation of goods and services, here in general commodities of all kinds. And this conurbation is gonna work and serve maximally in 24/7. USA too, the new African continental leadership, United States of Africa too, by the rulers and the non-rulers in general. We are going to do the following: bringing in new general changes in Africa, as mentioned above. Within all the places where borders are, we shall replace these borders with the above mentioned lasting factors of the African GDP. Long-lasting life, peace, love, unity, security, total independence, general new kind of share investment in all, easy and quickest communication, easy and quickest transportation of all goods and services, commodity in general, all international human rights control and well observed by all people for the benefit of all. 24/7 prisons and resource security monitoring for all, not for majority or for the few. Full and real African continental independence for the benefit of all Africans. Total and general African new quickest democracy for all Africans without any hesitation or anyone creating stumbling block when African is marching within their continent of the coming sphere of peace, love, unity, impartiality, total democracy and independence of all kinds, whereby all kinds of new shared investments gonna come into existence. The constant general African unity, general African impartiality and impartialism gonna come into existence to replace all of these African colonial borders laid down by these African dictators after independence of 1960s above and below. The general dialogue and consensus brought to you by the RWANDA leadership by all in all, for the all, by all means, this shall bring all African ideas together and peace together for the constant peace, never in pieces, because everyone's idea shall be amalgamated to become useful, and their usefulness shall be utilized by all Africans for the benefits of all Africans without any segregations in all sexes, bringing new and permanent world order for all Africans and all the entire world shall be coming in Africa, because Africa shall be the capital city of the whole world, and Rwanda shall be the capital city of this Africa of ours, and we shall have good times, whereby everybody shall get plenty of everything as far as kinds of resources are concerned here in Africa. Rulers are going and coming, removing and destroying all kinds of African culture of impunity, which had been set by the long-lasting dictators in Africa, where justice had been in the hands of the heads of the state. But now justice gonna base on local levels, at the village. That is where justice shall be operating throughout the country and the continent, but starting from here in Rwanda. We the rulers have brought this new system to fight this culture of impunity, had been into existence since time immemorial. Not only in decades, but centuries and in millenniums, demolishing and removing all African prisons for all, for the betterment of all sexes without any segregations. So law and order, security gonna be measured in new systems brought to you by the rulers. men and women, and their children too. So, much more details must be fetched at www.rwanda.tk and my permanent cellular number, whereby you can call me in 24/7 078 34 28 622 for all of those people within Rwanda, our Rwanda. But when you are outside of Rwanda or in East Africa, you can add plus 250 078 34 28 622. I will receive and I shall receive and I must in 24/7. I myself, or by I myself, BarafindaFred, the Rwanda president. I, BarafindaFred, the Rwanda founder, Rego international representative. Here I mean internal and external Rego representative. All of the above shall unlock all Africans. And they mentioned the above tactics and factors to build many factories, industries for the Africans shall also unlock all African internal territorial borders to replace them with new modern markets, new modern primary schools, secondary schools, high institutions, colleges and universities, modern security grounds in 24/7 measuring barometer security for the betterment of all citizens without any segregations. All security concerns shall be monitored by the legal concerned keepers, not these local citizens. To spend the night moving around, checking and controlling security. Moreover, they had know that kind of skill. Let all these skillful persons be in the charge of controlling security themselves, but not the poor citizens. They shall be busy like bees in service delivering or deliverance for the benefit of the Rwanda, East Africa, Africa, and the entire Africa of ours. and the entire world too. So imipaka African continental internal borders of all 55 African countries must be removed whatsoever. These borders were created founded and set and laid down by so-called long ago visitors from far. These internal African borders were created in 1884 by the far went visitors, and Africa got independence, but independence became the asset of some personalities, not for all, whereby these personalities hinged upon and became the dictators with autocratic leadership. Dictating terms in all decades, centuries, and millennium, almost. These borders are the root causes of civil wars, panic wars, poverty caused in heads and in African pockets, causing human internal insecurity. You find that somebody is not steady and stable. These borders have caused human genocide, his and yon, genociding the younger and the old ones, all sexes, by these African dictators. We cannot accuse the foreigners to have participated here or to be participating here to finish my fellow Africans. But these military warhead importers, they are the genociders. Why do you import the dangerous and deadly weapons to finish up our Africans? Why? You have bought and brought many, but where is the proper outcome of them as far as security is concerned? Where is that security? You are now selling security according to the order of the day. You sell security in Roshos. Security of hours, you sell security of the day, you sell security of the night, you sell security of the week, the month. You cause insecurity in human populations. Why? You, the African dictators, think beyond and above your Bolongota level. You will deliver positive and productive production for all without any segregations. In failure to do that, God shall not receive you in heavenly kingdom of his. You have caused national and internal prisons to imprison Africans. African colonial borders, disputes, hither and yon. You have utilized them to finish up all of our Africans. African life dictators and long ones, they don't want to get out of power. They are just claiming that they are wanted, they are liked, that they are needed, moreover not. That they have experience, they know what they are doing in internal affairs and external affairs, just spreading dictatorial spirit and dangerous knowledge of colonialism, colonizing, engulfing and entangling all Africans, selling them oxygen to breathe in, and going to Security Council claiming the carbon dioxide. That is causing global warming. And you hide that you are selling oxygen and security. In your fellow Africans, where do you take that money you get from all of these concocted sources? You are taxing African natural land. Moreover, the land was given to all the world, the people, on no charge, just for free payment. You continue standing, causing constant liberation wars in Africa, finish up our fellow Africans. Whom do you think these liberation wars do engulf and do finish? Think twice and rethink thrice. You are not serious. We had once upon a time the serious leaders like Patrice Lumumba, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and Dr. and Mwalimu Kambarage Julius Nyerere. The Mandela of ours in general and plus. Never to forget even Mwalimu Kenyatta, of nearby here. All of these had laid down the foundation stone for the African long-lasting peace, but you have replaced it. You have replaced it with your constant and permanent African colonial borders. finishing up all the citizens within these territorial borders and going beyond those territorial borders, finishing the innocent ones who had escaped the lines. You hunt them down. Why? Don't you think that tomorrow you are the next? Why don't you think that tomorrow but one, or tomorrow but two, and tomorrow but three are your children and your offsprings? High and maximum total deaths in Africa are because of you, the fellow dictators, fellow African long-lasting rulers, aiming at finishing up our fellow Africans. Even the visitors from longer distances, you have the tendency of hijacking them and finishing up them silently. In other words, you organize the disorganization of killing people and finishing up people silently. There you have no segregation. But in the remaining ones, you have total segregations, violating international human rights and human law, plus human security and unity too. You have violated the United Nations concordance that you had also put your own signature and fingerprints. Why? And you forge around factors which cannot build the factories for the Africans, just escaping the international warrants, international justice, and all methodological approaches can lead you to proper justice, whereby you failed to give proper justice to your fellow citizens and you supplied them with the killings, and in the end you also need to dodge the proper justice. Why? Why don't you have that good service? Because you did not have it, so you deserve it. Thank you very much. This is Mwalimu BarafindaFred, the RWANDA president. Thank you very much indeed. It is my great pleasure, my fellow Africans and the other world continents. Security is the asset of all, in quotes. Security must be the constant asset producing as a fixed or mobile assets, in quotes. This is Professor BarafindaFred, the RWANDA president.